and welcome back to Fantasy Knits, a Traveling Knitter. This is chapter 16 and I will be your host. My name is Steph and I am coming to you out of Dayton, Ohio in the United States. So I know in my last video I had said that I would be back in 2 weeks. I had every intention of being back in 2 weeks, but I was struck down, and by struck down I mean I caught the flu. Very bad. I mean, not very bad that I was near death or anything, but it was not good. So it is February 18th, 2018, and I got sick January 30th. Excuse me. So I didn't go to work for basically 3 days. So what that meant was I was sick on my birthday. It was honestly probably one of the most depressing birthdays I've ever had. Not a single human wished me happy birthday, which is nothing against the humans. It's because I was in bed. I basically was in bed all day for almost 5 full days, and I just slept. Went to the bathroom. Yep, went to the bathroom and then came back and slept. Got up, went to the bathroom, came back and slept. My Fitbit was pretty interesting because it was, it was tracking how much I was sleeping, and I was basically sleeping about like 18 hours every day. And I mean like good sleep. So like I wasn't waking up and stuff, so I was very sick. My voice is essentially the only thing that isn't back to normal. So I am still coughing, but finally the cough is like getting the phlegm out. For what felt like 3 weeks, I was just coughing and nothing was happening. It wasn't a constructive cough. It was just annoying, and it was to the point where I was like trying to get the phlegm out, and so it was just basically like I was just yelling. Like my coughs were just yells. I'll demonstrate. I'd be like cough, but it's like there's no, because I'm like trying to get the phlegm out, but there's nothing coming out. So it was just so bad. Because, I think I've mentioned before, I'm the only person that does my job. So if I'm not there, I basically have to like text my managers, supervisors, and be like, hey, this is the schedule for the day. I need someone to sub in for me, or email them, cancel it, whatever. So even when I'm sick, it's like kind of stressful trying to like organize everything. And I mean, I was so sick that like I said, I was in bed. Normally when I'm sick I can read or I listen to an audiobook. No. I finished one book and that was me reading 30 pages, and it took me 5 days to do that. So, long explanation for why I did not podcast immediately. It's because I was very, very sick. I lost my voice, so I couldn't have talked to you anyway. And then last week I had my birthday party. So basically my birthday has been pushed back. Yes, it is 18 days after my birthday, and I still haven't really celebrated with my family, and by that I mean like I haven't even opened the presents from my parents, nor have I gone out to eat with my brother who lives here. So I've celebrated with my friends, and that's basically it. So yeah, it was a pretty lame birthday. My birthday party was awesome though. I did a dip party, like the good kind of dip, not the dip that destroys your gums. So I had 10 different types of dips, and we played board games all day. So they got there at around 2 o'clock, we started playing, and we went to bed at 2. Well, we stopped playing at 2 a.m. and then we stayed up a little bit later till like 3 just talking about books. My core group of friends, we're all big readers, and we kind of all have the same taste, so like if we get on the topic of books, we could stay there for a long time. So yeah, basic long introduction. So let's get into the podcast. So I've decided to be organized. There's probably gonna be a lot of cuts of me trying to cut the coughing and the clearing of the throat and the phlegm. So there might be some cuts, more than normal. So I wanted to get organized, and I feel like I say that every podcast, but I really, really want to be organized with this podcast and just with my life in general. So I thought that I would officially keep a notebook. So each day I will actually write my show notes. So chapter 16, that's why I actually was able to say what chapter it was, because I looked it up and I wrote it down. Good for me. And yeah, so I've got everything laid out, so we are going to truck. I feel like this is going to keep my podcast shorter, which is great, because like I've mentioned, it's a bitch to upload these damn things because it takes hours and hours and hours, and for whatever reason, my router just disconnects. And at first I thought it was just my laptop, so I was really hating my laptop, but I got my new TV that connects to the internet as well, and it can't stay on the internet either. Every time it like goes to sleep, it shuts, like it disconnects, and it's like, you need to troubleshoot the internet, it's not working. So I'm pretty sure it's my router now. Oddly enough, my phone never has a problem, and maybe it's because it doesn't go to sleep, because I know my computer goes to sleep. Obviously the TV goes to sleep when I turn it off. And I don't really have anything else that, my iPad, but it doesn't have any problems either. Whatever. So I'm pretty sure it's my router. I definitely ramble. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. All right, let's get back to the fact that this is a knitting podcast. So, finished quests. I actually have 2 finished quests. Sorry, lean over frame. All of my stuff is on the couch. Actually, can you see this green? This is a blanket. That's a blanket. I have been keeping my apartment at like 67, so I've got blankets everywhere. It's actually been pretty good because the weather keeps fluctuating, so alright, bam! Why yes, those are ends, of course they are. Actually, I think my goal today is to weave in these ends. So this is the Little Tent Hat by Gretchen Tracy. And the yarn is Premier Yarns Appalachia in Blacksburg. So this is the first one I did. And then the next one, I wanted it to be longer. But when I weighed the yarn, they actually, they skimped me. They skimped me by 9 grams, which you wouldn't think is that big of a deal. But this is almost bulky yarn. So 9 grams? That means a lot for this. So what that ended up meaning was, if you can kind of tell, see how this is fuzzy? I actually had to switch yarns right at the end. I think this is one row plus the cast off row, which is just pulling it together to do this. So I actually really like how the two came together. This one I want to do a white pom-pom. This one I want to find a green one, because I think that would be really cool, having the green at the bottom and then the white and then green again. So I'm going to be keeping this one. This is the one that'll be for me, and I'll just put it on. So I made the brim longer than this one. This is the one where I followed the instructions, and I like the brim being a bit longer. And the pattern, these are the tents, and this is super easy and really enjoyable, hence why I made 2 hats. Plus I had enough, and I didn't want leftovers. I was like, what else am I gonna do this for, or use this yarn for? So now I have this hat. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm gonna give it to somebody. Maybe my mom. And my mom and I, we can have like matching hats. I feel like she'd appreciate that. Because I don't think these colors are good for my dad. I was thinking of making a hat for my dad for his birthday. He likes navy and gray, so maybe a navy hat. But yeah, I really enjoyed these. And these took next to no time to whip up. Fix the old hair. yeah, these took next to no time to whip up, and I really liked it. I would recommend the pattern. It's free on Ravelry, and I would recommend the yarn too. I believe the yarn was pretty cheap, and here's 2 hats. It made, one skein made 2. Now, I think I could have gotten away. I made the small adult size, but I think I could have gotten away with the child size or just eliminating 1 repeat. But I've measured my head, and I have actually like a child size head. The circumference of my head is pretty small. I don't know why. Both my brother, I think everyone in my family has normal size heads, but mine is actually a little bit smaller. And the reason why I even measured my head was because when I was in band, our hats wouldn't fit me, and I actually had to go get an extra small hat, which was kind of nice because no one could steal my hat, and I couldn't, like, you know, I always had, like, my hat was always there because no one was going to take my hat if they forgot theirs, so that they didn't, you know, get deducted or whatever. So yeah, I was like, wow, why do I have to have such a small hat? And then my motorcycle helmet was also very small. Not for me, but when my brother or my ex would put it on, it would like come up to here, like their chin would still be sticking out. So yeah, I have a strangely small head, and so I honestly think I could have gone with the child size for these, and then I would have had more yarn and I wouldn't have had to pull out like this random fuzzy yarn. But I think it almost blends in. I guess on camera you could see it more. If I'm looking at it, it doesn't really look, I don't know. Like if I brush it down, it kind of blends in, but on camera I think this white is definitely picking up almost bluish, and then this white is little dirt, like just white. Yeah, okay. Moving on. So 2 hats, which meant I got to add 2 stickers to my journal. So I'm officially up to $25. So pom-poms. These guys need pom-poms, and they need their ends woven in, which I think I'm going to do today. So that's the only finished quest that I have. And though the next time I podcast, I will have another finished one. And that leads me into the current quests, which you guys probably all are gonna know. As soon as I flash it, bam! It's My Miller's Daughter by Melanie Berg. And last time I said I was going ham on it. Well, I still am. Oh my god, what the... Oh, why is this so tangled? I really need to just weave in some of these ends. But anyway, yes, it now is like, if I straighten it, it will not fit on my needles and hair. So do you see that little stitch marker? I will pull it up closer. Is that not the cutest thing ever? That is one of the shrunken heads from the Night Bus. Yes. It's so freaking cute. I love it. This might be literally my favorite progress keeper that I have. I freaking love it. Love it, love it, love it. I kind of get sick of all the food related ones. As terrible as that sounds, I like this. This is not a food. That might be unpopular opinion, but I want like things on my stitch markers. So he's keeping track of where I last was. Where I was last. Why is that sentence hard? So yeah, I was right before the lace panel on the last episode, and I have knit the lace panel, and I am a third of the way through the stripes. So what that means is technically the stripe is the last stripe section, and then there's one more lace section, and that lace section ends it. Now I did say that I am holding off. I'm holding out to see how much I can get out of this. I I will end up doing one more striped section. So this striped section is technically the last one, but I think I will have one more striped section. I don't know if I can get away with 2. I will probably have to, I'll probably weigh this. Yeah, well, yes, I'll weigh it and see, but I have a feeling I won't I won't have enough because clearly the stripes get longer every time. So yeah, I still have a lot of this. Honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I'll have to double it up with something. Maybe black, that might be cool. I'll double it up with, or mohair. Like if I double it up with some white mohair, that might be cool. And just do like a little, like a scarf or something. Maybe. I have a whole nother skein of this, different colorway, but a whole nother skein. Now I know I never ever want to buy lace because I just don't like knitting with it. But I am so excited for this to be done. So excited. And I'm actually getting really excited to wear this because it's so light and airy. This is going to be the perfect spring shawl. Now I still have this stupid little like thing right there. I hope to block out, but so he is what I've been bringing to knit night on Tuesdays. So he's gotten a lot of work and I've been working on it at work as well. So yeah, it's Miller's Daughter by Melanie Berg and the colorway Hedgehog Fibers in Merino Lace in the Genie colorway, and then the orange is, I don't know, but it's a single ply. So that, and I'm keeping it in this Minnie Mouse bag that I made myself. My next work in progress is a new one that you haven't seen before. And it looks like this. Look how bright that is. Isn't that nice? Let's find the end. Ugh, this also has a long end because it was a long tail cast on of a lot of stitches. It's like 200 stitches, I think. I ended up making the cowl like longer than what it is, or yeah, I added way more stitches than what it called for because I didn't want to magic loop it. That is literally the reason why I cast more on, because I didn't want to magic loop. These are my Knitter's Pride Royals, and the other one is my Chow red lace, the red cord. So this guy is the Dodging Rain Cowl by Vanessa Ewing, and this is a paid for pattern, but I got it for free. I love to go on Ravelry every now and then, click on patterns, and then the top patterns, a lot of times the reason why they're top patterns is because they're free that day. So I love going in, and like Lisa Much does it a lot, which is awesome. Now I have purchased some of her patterns, but I love getting, you know, every now and then she does free ones. I love that. When I finally publish my patterns, that's what I want to do. I want to have free patterns because I love it. I think it's great. So this is, like I said, the Dodging Rain Cowl, and basically it's called Dodging Rain because you have these eyelets. So see that right there? So there's eyelets, and they get more and more, or is it less and less? I want to say it's more and more. So it's like this is the start of the rain, and then it starts raining more, and then it's a downpour. So your yarn overs mimic a rain. So I thought that was just really cool and different, and I just was feeling a cowl. And this yarn is actually some of my oldest hand-dyed yarn. So I bought this, I believe, in the summer of 2012. This is called Unplanned Peacock Studio, and the dyer is Natasha Lady Snyder, and her website is www.unplannedpeacock.com. This is her original card, like back in the day. This yarn is superwash merino fingering weight, 490 yards. and the colorway is Sun Conure. So like I said, I bought this in 2012. I was still in college, and I brought this to school with me. And I've been trying, so I've been knitting from stash this year heavily, and I really wanted to knit this guy up. So I cast on, and the yarn kept breaking, and I was thinking, this yarn is crap. Like, why does it keep breaking? And it keeps breaking like consistently after I've cast on maybe 50 stitches. So I decided to just look at the skein a little bit, because I had already wound this up. I believe a moth got to it. So in like a section like right here, it had just chewed. So all of the yarn, like all of the strands that came together right here were all being held together by like maybe one ply. So it consistently kept breaking because it was all in the same spot. So I removed all of that yarn. Ugh, it was a lot of yarn. I didn't weigh it because I just didn't want to feel the pain of how much yarn was wasted because this damn moth ate it. So hopefully that moth had a really great life because he ate some of my hand-dyed yarn. So that was really nice. But I was then, you know, oh, sorry, yarn, you're not the problem. It's me, because I brought you to school and school had moths. So I'm down probably 50 yards on this. But the pattern said it only needed 300 and something, and like I said, this was 490. So I feel pretty safe. Plus I did cast on way more. And I'm thinking if I don't quite make it, I might add like a spurt of a random different color. I think that might look cool. But if I don't have to, then I don't have to, which will be, I would prefer that. So I am keeping track with this really nice stitch marker that I made myself. It's just 2 clear square beads and then some really nice orange seed beads, but they're not like the tiny seeds. So yeah, it is garter stitch. So I'm, you know, knitting around, purling around, which is different. So, but that's fine. I've been enjoying it. Yeah, so I would recommend this. It's nice, and I'm loving the color. I think this will look really nice with like black. All right. So that is that guy, and I'm keeping it in my very first sewn birdie bag. Put that away. My next working quest is also something you haven't seen, and it is in this giant bag. So if you decide to get something from Amazon and you want to gift wrap it, do it. What is happening here? Especially, obviously, if someone's gonna give you something, gift wrapping is really cool. It's only like $3 or $4, and they will wrap everything individually in a nice bag. So, in this giant bag, I have a blanket. Yes, I've started a blanket. Not a scrappy blanket because that's just not me, but I've been really wanting to crochet. So I had purchased this 100 colorful ripple stitches to crochet, 50 original stitches and 50 fabulous colorways for blankets and throws by Leonie Morgan. And I was just flipping through it and I decided I want to do this one called Rainbow Road. Excuse me. It's pretty easy, and yeah, it's skill level beginner. It gives you like the sizing for a pattern repeat, which is 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches high. So that's cool. And then it gives you ideas for colors. So do they tell you like what yarn they use? They do. Everything's in Cascade yarn. That's really cool. Looks like they've got, yeah, they have some interesting patterns in here. I really like this one. It's called Buttons. But that just wasn't the style I was going with. They have like motifs. Okay, I don't understand what this would be for. This is called Orion's Belt. I don't know what, like, oh, you could have like, you could just like keep going. That'd be a weird ass blanket. I like this one's cool, but maybe I like it because of the colors. I love that. So yeah, there's like they'll have little motifs. You could keep going and make a nice, like a cool flower blanket. Aw, like here's this is called the jitterbug, but it's like a purse. I don't know if I'd use it as a purse, but the coin purse is cool. I would maybe use the coin purse. So yeah. Oh, and here's like an idea for pillows. Okay, I think this was originally the one I was gonna do, but then I decided like it looked more complicated than I wanted, because I'm not doing multicolors, and I thought maybe that would look better with a multicolor. But yeah, so I'm doing the one that's called Rainbow Road, and so far, and I basically have the stitch pattern memorized. I mean, it's not that hard. And the yarn I'm using is Loops and Threads Chameleon in the Orange Sickle colorway. So this is a, what am I looking for? This is 439 yards, 200 grams. And it is like worsted, I would say. Yeah, I'd say it's worsted, and it's 62% acrylic and 38% polyester. I really like this color. You might have seen this on the podcast before, because I purchased it not too long ago, like fall. So I decided I wanted to start a blanket. Here's what I've done so far. I'm thinking that's like a good size, right? For like a baby blanket? I don't know a lot of babies, so it's always hard to decide, like, how big are babies, right? I just watched the Hey Sister podcast, the last episode they put out, where Rachel has her newest baby, her daughter Juliet, and I was like, okay, so Juliet, a baby, I think she said she's 8 weeks old. Juliet was like this big, right? Because Tabby had it in her hand, sorry, I don't mean to say it, but me and babies, nah, I like toddlers. I know, I really like toddlers. When they start like talking and thinking and problem solving, I think that's just so cool. She was like about her forearm. So, okay, so here's a baby. Here's the blanket. Yeah, that's like long enough, right? Oh God. This is probably super embarrassing, but I just don't know any babies. Like, honestly, I don't know I think the last time I held a baby might have been when I was like 13. My friends, like my close friends, none of us have babies, so only one of my close friends is even married, so that's okay. And that was recent, obviously. I've already talked about that. I never posted pictures, I don't think. I should someday. Maybe I'll do like a year in review, which should have already happened then. Oh my God, rants. So anyway, that is the blanket so far. I have done one row. Yeah, but there's something about crochet. It's definitely not something I want to do every day, but every now and then I'm like, I want to crochet, because it's so much faster. It uses the yarn up faster, and it creates the fabric faster than knitting does. But I will say crochet cramps my hand up way faster than knitting ever does. Knitting kind of cramps up my wrist, and crochet like hurts my thumb. So it's like different things. I've got 2 skeins of this, so I don't know if I'll need both. we'll see. The goal is to have a blanket so that I have something to give to my friends. All right, so those are my 3 current quests that I am on. I'm pretty happy with all 3 of them, and fingers crossed that I finish the Miller's Daughter by the next podcast, and dodging for rain. I'll hopefully get some more done on that. And the crochet blanket, I feel like I'll just work on that whenever. So I've come up with a name for future knitting, or like dream knitting. It's gonna be called On the Horizon. I thought that was kind of fantasy sounding, and I thought on the horizon, you know, looking ahead. So I have 2 things that I plan. I had previously talked about how I want to knit the Half Moon Oracle by Kristen of Woolenvine. I still want to do that, but like I said, I need to get a different gray, and I already, like, it's planned. I know what I want. I'm just going to stick to my challenge rules, and when I purchase yarn from places, I like to get more than just 1 skein so that shipping just makes sense. I think everyone does that. So I'm gonna hold off on that, and instead I'm going to cast on a different shawl, and it's called the Tokerau Shawl by Francoise Danoy. This is, I can't remember if it's free or if it's paid for. I got it for free because, like I said, I like to go on the pattern section and find the free ones. So this one is a 2-color shawl, and it's sort of pie shaped with bands of lace. So kind of in the line of Miller's Daughter. And I'm going to be knitting it out of these 2. I thought these went really well together, even though there actually isn't any brown in this. But this is Wool Fiend in the 80/20 sock, which is superwash merino nylon, 400 yards fingering, and the colorway is chartreuse is loose. So yep, there's some chartreuse here, and then I just love this color right up here. There's some speckles, but it's basically a neutral base, like almost like a slight green with chartreuse green, this tealy green, and then black speckles. Not black speckles, but like black. So this guy, and then the other color is going to be this. So this is actually a recent acquisition. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering in the Newport Tonal Hand Paint. That is an 80/20 superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polymade. 357 yards fingering. Yeah. So I thought these guys would look really well, and so that is going to be my next shawl that I cast on. Pretty excited. I will probably not wind these up until I bind off on that guy. I'm really trying to stick to my rules of 1 style of knitwear at a time. The other thing I want to cast on, I want to cast that on actually really soon. It is the Dewdrop Socks by Tracy Arnold, who is the podcaster behind Crafts from the Third Floor, as well as the Nora George Yarns dyer. And I would like to cast on with, okay, I have my, oh, it's on the ground. I would like to cast those socks on in this. So I want to do the cuff in this color, and I'm not sure if I want to do anything else in this, or if I just want to do the cuffs. But maybe cuffs and toes, and maybe leave the heels in this color. And this is, look at that, look how tiny. Pull this guy out. This is Loop Studio Glaze, 100% superwash merino. Oh, so actually I think I need to do the heels in this. because there is no nylon in here. Now I might be second guessing if I want to make socks out of this. I think I will. So yeah, superwash merino, 350 yards, and I guess the colorway is STO111 because there is no colorway. It's orange. It's a really nice orange, like a pumpkin-y orange. And then I thought it'd be really cool to put a blush pink with the orange. This is Lolo did it in the Everyday Sock colorway Princess Peach. It's a 20 gram, 92 yards. I'm definitely not like a pink person, but I thought these would just look really good together. So yeah, I think, yeah, I guess I will have to do the heels in it. Maybe not the toes. We'll see. I need to measure, I need to weigh, but I want to cast those on because she has a knit along and they're her first, it's her first pattern that she's released, and I definitely want to, I just want to get more involved with things like that. So I thought it'd be really nice to join the knit along. Plus it's a smaller one. I've definitely been trying to partake in smaller groups, because I think it's just a little bit more personal, and you don't get as lost in it. So I think I'm gonna start that, and yes, it goes to the end of February, so I literally have 10 days. But if I do nothing else and I just cast those on, and if I cast them on today, I think maybe I can get it done, fingers crossed. Especially if I bring it to work. So yeah, those are my two on the horizon. Additions to Smaug Trove, I have some. Because it was my birthday, I did break my rule and I bought one skein of yarn for my birthday because it was just to treat myself. And it is this guy. So this is my very first Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is her smooth sock. And it is the Yarn Club of January for her Full House. I love Full House. I have the box set of Full House, and I watch the revamp Fuller House. I love Full House. Love it. Full House is actually something that I was watching when I lived in Asia, so have always been a big fan of Full House. None of my friends understand why I like Full House so much. But yeah, so this is Bethany of Woolberry Fiber Company, her Wake Up San Francisco. For those of you who don't watch Full House, Wake Up San Francisco is the show that Danny Tanner and Becky Donaldson co-hosted together. Becky wasn't originally on there, but when they maintained Becky's character, she was forever that host. With Danny. So Wake Up San Francisco is the morning talk show. It's the morning show of the show. And this is the yarn. The last segment of the podcast is called A Novel Idea, where I talk about a book. And this book is called The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This is the 10-year anniversary edition, which you can get at Target. And I would actually recommend getting this one because the back has a bunch of his rough drafts and kind of proofs and thought process of why he did certain things. And then there is a quick little interview with Markus Zusak at the end. Right there, a little interview. So I really enjoyed this book. It's 550 pages. Which may seem like a lot, but it was a breeze to read through this, because if you, let me open to a specific, so like here, look at all the white space here, because there's these little blurbs. Basically this book is told from the perspective of death, which is really interesting because death doesn't have a lot of emotions, and if you've never heard of The Book Thief, it is a World War II novel, and you follow death but he pretty much sticks to Liesel Memminger, who is the main character. And Liesel is the book thief, so she steals books. And going into this, I thought she was going to steal like a ton of books. She doesn't. She steals like maybe 4, but they each hold some sort of value for why she's stolen it. So Liesel is essentially adopted by a family in a town outside of Munich. Her mom like kind of gives her away. I know that sounds terrible, but I think her mom was very, very poor, wasn't in a safe area, and so she needed her children to go to a better place during the war. That portion really isn't explained too much, but right at the beginning, tragedy strikes Liesel, and that plays a big role for the next couple years. And her foster family, they end up, I feel like this isn't giving it away, but they end up hiding a Jewish man in their basement. And so Liesel is basically living with this secret. What I found so interesting about this book is you know what the ending is right at the beginning, because death just tells you. Now you don't know how it happens, you don't know when it's happening, you just know it's going to happen. So a lot of the suspenseful things you know are going to happen. So you're, at least for me, I was always like, oh no, it's gonna happen this chapter, and then it doesn't happen. Then I get to the next, oh no, it's gonna happen in this chapter, and then it doesn't happen. So I, even though you know what the ending is, it was still quite suspenseful. And what I really found interesting about this book, so Liesel is not Jewish, and her best friend is also not Jewish. She really isn't affected by war, which was what was so interesting to me about this book. I felt a lot of novels that I read about World War II, the main character is either Jewish or is, you know, really fighting to save Jewish people, is very active in the war, is either fighting in the war. This book, Liesel, she really isn't fighting in the war. You know, she steals a book here and there. She hates Hitler, but she hates Hitler because her mom's gone. And then the ending happens and she is affected by war. And I don't really cry during books, and I didn't cry during this book, but I think it had to do with the fact that death just matter-of-factly tells you about the events. Death is just the next stage. Like, to death, if you die, he just takes you. That's, you know, his job. You're gonna die anyway, so he's gonna come for you sooner or later. So he doesn't act sad, or he says, what's the last page, or the last thing that he says, is he's haunted by humans, you know, because he says that he's worked for all of the villains ever, right? Because he's death, so he inevitably works for anyone who kills people. So the fact he says he's haunted by humans, and he says that it's interesting that the same thing can have so much love and hatred in it. So it was just really interesting. It was a very different perspective, since, like I said, it's from death. It's not from Liesel or her best friend. But I really recommend it. I read this for my book club, picked it for the book club, and we watched the movie. I enjoyed the movie as well. I'm not the kind of person who compares books to movies, because I think movies are an interpretation of the theme of the book. So, you know, you don't have to maintain everything. The only thing is I want you to maintain, you know, who lives and who dies in the movie, which they did. They did change certain elements, timelines. So this, you know, this book takes you through 5 or 6 years. Obviously that's really hard to do in a movie, especially like a kid's movie. So the timing was cut short in a lot of things were combined. But I would recommend the book and the movie. Now, if you are the kind of person who compares, don't read and watch them close together. Maybe read the book first and then watch the movie, you know, several months later or something. But yeah, really recommend it. This guy was from Target. There is a special edition one that is really nice. It's all white. It's hardback. Amazon sometimes sells it. When I tried to buy it, it was not in stock. But that one, I think it's also around the same price. Like I said, this is 10 years old. This came out... This is more than 10 years old. This was published in 2005. So we are almost at 15 years. So, you know, it's not a new book. You can get it for a pretty good price. Libraries have a ton of these, and this is still a beloved book, and so you may actually still have to put it on hold. I know one person in our book club got it from the library, and she had to put it on hold to be able to get it. There was a wait list for it, so I really recommend it. It took me a matter of days to finish it. Like I said, oops, got lipstick on there. You know, the pages aren't like completely full, right? So, oh, and then there's pictures on some of these things. So it's, you know, it's 550 pages, but it's not 550 full pages. So it's not going to take you nearly that long to read it. So yeah, Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Author is based out of Australia, so little tidbit. But I really recommend this guy. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Also, if you like to read and you would like to follow me on Goodreads or be friends with me on Goodreads, my name is just Steph Massard. That's my last name. And I'll put a link in the down bar for Goodreads if you would like to join me there. I'm a huge reader, but I'm a huge reader, so if you want book recommendations or you just kind of want to see what I read, go ahead and check me out on Goodreads. And that is that. That is the podcast. I hope you enjoyed, and if you were... And I know I didn't say it at the beginning, but I appreciate you watching the podcast. If you're new or if you're returning, I appreciate you both. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I will answer them. Feel free to follow me on all the social medias. At the beginning of the video, I had them on the screen. But basically, it's Lulu is Crazy in most Instagram and Ravelry. So yeah, if you want to follow me there, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, I will see you guys hopefully in 2 weeks, but either way, I will see you in the next podcast. Bye!